This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Okay, is this thing on? Is it on? Yeah, it's recording now. Hello, everybody. My name is Tom, and you are listening to episode 40 of the Dreamcast Junkyard Dream Pod. There's only two of us here today. Myself, which is me, obviously, and Ross. Hello, Ross.
Hey, Tom. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sure everybody who is listening to the podcast is also screaming into their iPods or phones saying, yes, we're fine too.
Yeah, that's a bit of a habit picked up from teaching English in Japan. Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you today? Oh, I'm fine. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah, just to let people know that this was quite an impromptu recording. We were just chatting on Facebook and we decided, you know what? Let's just make a podcast. And then we tried to log on with our usual service, which is Mumble, and the server is down. So then we quickly scrabbled around on the internet looking for a way to record a podcast without using Mumble, and we ended up using Skype with a thing called Call Recorder, which is free. So if it doesn't sound as professional and amazing as usual, that's why. You can point all of your complaints towards Mumble. That's mumble.com, and I'll be doing the same thing after this as well, so thanks to Mumble for that. However, all of these problems will not stop us from delivering quality content for you, our dear listeners. I use the term quality in the loosest possible sense, naturally. But let's begin as we always do. Ross, you have been playing on something that isn't a Dreamcast. Would you like to tell the girls and boys what it is?
Yeah, are we talking about the thing we're going to talk about later?
Yeah, go for it. Do it now.
Alright, yeah, well, the PSVR came out only about 3 or 4 days ago. The nearest place to me is Osaka, which is fairly far from where I live, so I had to go up yesterday on a train and pick it up. Brought it home yesterday night and been playing it since then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's it's impressive, but I think you'll enjoy it a lot more if you haven't already experienced something like the Vive. If you've played a lot of the Vive, then it's not on the same level, in my opinion.
At the risk of this turning into already the PlayStation VR or the PlayStation 4 podcast or whatever you want to call it, I had the opportunity to pre-order the VR, but instead I put my money on the PS4 Pro. So
you did what?
Sorry.
Oh my God, Tom, I can't believe you did that. What are you saying? Are you saying you hate VR or something?
Exactly what I'm saying, yeah. I hate VR, I hate all new technology, and I'm just a complete Luddite.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so no, not at all. I am going round to a friend's house on Wednesday next week to experience the PlayStation VR. I don't hate VR. I'm going to the VR World Expo in London in a couple of weeks' time with work as a member of the press, believe it or not. So I'll be going and doing that and speaking to some people from PSVR and HTC and all these other companies that are creating new VR like headsets and apps and games and things, so that'll be quite. But I just thought to myself, I'm just a sucker for new technology when it comes to consoles. I really want a PS4 Pro for some reason. Call me an idiot, then that's what I am. But
no, I've got one pre-ordered as well, but my reason is a little different to yours probably. About 6 or 7 months ago, my PS4 just while I was playing it decided to stop working. I've got no idea why. I called up Sony and I'd just passed my window for it being in warranty, so they wouldn't repair it, and they wanted to charge me, I think it was 26,000 yen, which is about £200,
wow,
to repair it. And of course I was like, no way, I'd rather just...
Might as well buy a new one.
Yeah, well, what I did is I sold the broken one on eBay. I had to send it to Europe, so after postage I only made about 50-60 quid or something, but still it was something. And then I thought I'd put that towards a new PS3, and then I heard the PS Pro was coming out, and I thought, well, if I have to buy a new system anyway, it might as well be the Pro.
I always find that people act like, if you say you're going to buy a PS4 Pro, they go, oh, why don't you wait for a Scorpio? Well, you can buy them both. You don't have to just have one, Anyway, we're getting a bit off topic. This is the...
As you know, I'm more of a PC gamer now than anything else, but the main appeal for PS Pro for me is like, I'm worried that the regular PS3 won't... PS4 won't be at all, nothing's future-proofed, but it won't last very long in terms of being able to do VR stuff. I think it's already pushing its limits to do VR stuff at steady frame rate.
One system that's lasted longer than that, Will, is the Dreamcast. And,
oh yeah,
this podcast is testament to that. Apart from the PSVR, have you played Res Infinite?
Yes, I was playing Res Infinite today and yesterday. I've only played the first 4 levels. I'm taking my time with it. I want to enjoy it. I haven't played the new Area X, which is one of the biggest features. So, I can't comment on that. But the rest of the game, it's great. It's Res again. It's Res. We all love Res. It's in, if you don't have PS VR, then you're going to be able to play it in 1080p. It looks beautiful. It complements VR perfectly. A few of the games like the Emotion, like I was playing Rigs, I think it's called, and something else, can't remember the name now, but they're like driving or flying games. Elite, that was it. Elite, no, sorry, not Elite. Eve Valkyrie. Those 2 games, they kind of made me feel a bit queasy when I was playing them, but Res doesn't at all. I think it's because it's like slow at a steady pace, just drifting along through this very surreal, non-realistic kind of world. You don't feel that sickness at all. Yeah. It's great. And it's,
can I just pick you up on something, Ross? You called it Eve Valkyrie, and along with your pronunciation of Naomi, that's a new pronunciation on me, because I always
Naomi.
I thought it was
Naomi. Naomi. I will stand by if you. That's the fucking pronunciation. Naomi.
It's fucking not.
But
it's
Eve Valkyrie,
Naomi.
I have no idea. How do you pronounce that then?
What? Valkyrie.
What did I say?
Valkyrie. You said Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Anyway, enough of this nonsense.
I say Valkyrie, you sell Valkyrie, whatever.
Speaking of Res, we had Res on the big screen at Play Expo Manchester, which was the big event that me and Rob were at last weekend. I'm sure you saw the pictures on Facebook.
I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
She could have been there.
Yeah, likewise, I wish I could have been there as well. Obviously, it's a bit far for you to just jump on a bus and...
I don't think the Patreon covers that.
So Play Expo Manchester, as you probably saw, and for those people listening, is a big event. It's held in Manchester every year at a thing called Event City, a big event, exhibition centre. And it's just a massive celebration of current gen gaming, retro gaming. There's loads of people selling stuff. Again, the Junkyard had a stall or a booth or whatever you call it in the community zone, alongside people like Borders Down, the forum. They had a big display there with loads of consoles. We were kind of next to them, and it was really, really good fun. We spoke to loads of people who listened to the podcast. I wanted to give a shout out as well to a guy called Lee James Peake, who's on the Facebook group. He said he listens to this podcast in his van when he's driving around for work. I said I'd mention his name so that when he's listening to it and he's at work, he'd be able to go, oh, that's me they're talking about. So Lee, this is for you. This shout out is for you. So, anyway, stop listening to this and carry on working, you lazy bastard. Right. While we're at Play Expo Manchester, I managed to have a bit of a wander around, and I picked up quite a few games for the Dreamcast. Just because there were a couple of sellers there who were selling stuff quite cheap. One of whom is a guy called Alan McCluskey, who again he's a member of our Facebook group.
I've heard of him. Yeah,
he sells. He almost exclusively sells Japanese games for a range of consoles, not just the Dreamcast. But mate, his stall it was like a jumble sale, but a really good jumble sale. He just had boxes of random games. And it was mobbed. Do you know what I mean? There was just people climbing over each other to try and dig through these boxes of games. It was just surreal. He didn't just have games; he had loads of hardware as well. He had loads of weird Pippin Atmac stuff and loads of clone consoles, and he had some nice special edition Hello Kitty Dreamcasts and that kind of thing. Bit above my price range, but I did pick up some games from him. I got Tetris 4D and Rival Schools 2, the Japanese version. And I also got some other things from a couple of other sellers. I got a Dream Flyer, that thing where you could make your own flyers and send them via email. Even though
I've got that.
You can't do anything with it these days, but I just thought it's a nice thing to have for like a couple of quid.
I've never tried. Can you even like get on and make a flyer or something? I don't know. I've never tried using it.
Well,
maybe
I put it into my Dreamcast, and it basically just comes up, the main menu screen, but it won't let you go past that. I would imagine it's looking for an internet connection. So it might just be completely useless. I don't know, but I can't read Japanese, so I can't understand what it says. I could send you a screenshot and see if you could tell me what it's saying. But
well, yeah, if you do, or I'll try it someday when I get a chance.
I did pick up a couple of other things as well. I got the King of Fighters 2002.
That's the best in the series, in my opinion. A lot of people don't think that, but I like it. I think it's one of the best.
Do you know when we did the fighting podcast a few months ago, and I think it was Rob or some. I can't remember who it was now. Who chose one of the King of Fighters games as their least favourite fighting game. I could just go back and listen to it, but I couldn't remember which one it was. I couldn't remember if it was 2000, 2001 or 2002. And
2000 and 2001 are known to be not very good. I think one of them's made by some Korean developer, or maybe both of them.
I should just go back and listen to it, but I'm far too lazy.
But yeah, it's not 2000. 2002 is great. I mean, like 94 to 97 are like main series games, and then 98 is a dream match where they put all the characters together in one inverted commas dream match like scenario. And then after that, 99 to 2001 are regular series again, and then 2002 is another dream match. So that's why there's like so many characters.
Yeah, they did a really good article on it, like a feature on the King of Fighters series in Retro Gamer magazine a few issues back. I say a few, it's probably about a year ago now. It was written by a guy called Nick Thorpe, who I know in real life. It was really comprehensive, really, really cool as well. So that might be worth checking out, people who like King of Fighters. The other big thing I got was a fully boxed PAL Samba de Amigo Maracas set. And that was from a guy who I know from Twitter. His Twitter handle is Arcade Koala, and he had two box sets. And he messaged me on Twitter like a week before the event and said, "I've got 2 box sets of Samba. Do you want one of them?" And I was like, "Of course I do." You know, I've never played Samba de Amigo. Weirdly.
Oh really?
No, I've never played it up until now, obviously. And he said, "Yeah, the one I've got here off him. He actually won that in a competition on Dream Arena back in the day, and so it came directly from Sega Europe as a competition prize, and he sold it to me for like 60 quid, so that was a really good.
Oh wow, that is good mates rate. So
yeah, that is brilliant. So thank you massively to him. Because I got that at the event, I also picked up Samba de Amigo version 2000, which I believe is a more updated version. Is that right?
Yeah, it's got a few extra songs or something. I can't tell you exactly, but it's got a few extra songs. Have you tried it yet since getting it?
Got to be honest, I haven't actually hooked it up yet. That's because my reason for this is that all the TVs from the event are still in the car because I haven't. I just can't be asked like opening the boot and getting all the tellies out, all the tellies out of the boot. So the tellies are still in the car. But when I
saw
be bothered, I will.
Someone sent us a message saying to us, "Oh, I've got a couple CRTs. Where are you based? I'd donate them to you for your shows." And I thought in my head, that's very, very nice of you to offer. We appreciate that very much. But I thought, I don't know if Tom really wants any more CRTs littering his house.
I've got 8 tellies. I need to get rid of them. I need to get rid of them somehow because I just can't have tellies all over the house anymore. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, but so that's what I got for the Dreamcast at the event. I also picked up another couple of things. I'm going to bore you with them, Ross. You've got no choice. Game Boy Advance games. I got Monster Truck Madness, Duke Nukem Advance, and a shmup called Phalanx, which is quite cool, a bit like R-Type. I also saw on one of the stalls a Game Boy, a standard Game Boy cartridge, which I assumed was the unreleased Game Boy Color version of Resident Evil, because that's what it says on the back. And then when I got it home and plugged it into my Game Boy Advance, it was actually Resident Evil Gaiden. So that was a bit.
Yeah. Is that like turn-based one? Is that?
No, it's like a side-scrolling shooter, top down.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you just.
Never played that.
Yeah, it's not what I mean. It's a good game in its own right, but it's not the game I was expecting it to be. So I was a bit annoyed about that. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I picked up from PlayExpo. It was just a great event. There's so many different podcasts in the UK. I don't know what it's like over in Japan. Obviously, podcasts are kind of like ubiquitous. You can get them wherever you are. But there's a massive community in the UK of podcasters and people who make content, and we all kind of know each other. And every time we go to these events, everyone turns up with like their t-shirts on, and everyone wants to do a guest host podcast or a video. So me and Rob got interviewed by a couple of different YouTube channels for at the Dreamcast Junkyard booth. There was have you heard of RGDS? That's
RGGD.
RGDS, Retro Gaming Discussion Show.
Is that the one that their logo looks like one of the old Commodore 64 hit squads?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
And there's a guy with a very thick, like, London accent.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
I've listened to a few of them,
Yeah, so all those guys were down there. There's guys from Tenpence Arcade, the other podcast I sometimes co-host, Maximum Power Up, they were down there.
I listened to that.
Yeah, there's loads of cool people down there, and all the Retro Collect people. The retro community in the UK is very, very, even though it's quite large, everyone knows each other. Do you know what I mean? So that was really cool to see everybody as well. And,
no, I think you'd be surprised. Like, it's bigger, I think, than it is in Japan. Although, like, there's more shops where you can buy them and stuff. Video games aren't as big as you think they are. Before coming to Japan, before I came here, I was expecting to be talking to any random guy, and assuming he'd have an interest in video games. But to be honest, very, very, very few people have any interest. Most of them played when they were like teenagers, but I've almost never met anyone when I've struck up conversations with people in bars or at my school, other than students, I very rarely meet anyone who's still into playing games as an adult. I guess they're just too busy and working and stuff. But
yeah, there's this. I think it's for people like me who don't obviously live in Japan. People like outsiders who look in. There's like this kind of almost mythical kind of air around the country. Like everyone's going to be like really into games, and it's all going to be like everyone's going to be into like anime and stuff. And then, as you probably know, because you're living there now, when you get there, it's totally not like that. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and I understand that completely, because that's exactly me. Like 7 years ago, that's what I was expecting, and it's not it's not at all like that. Like, okay, you go to Akihabara and a few places in Tokyo, and you think, wow, oh, look at all these arcades. It's not like that in most average cities in Japan. It's just, I mean, if anything, I'd say kids in Japan nowadays are playing consoles. Well, it's been 7 years since I've been in the UK living anyway, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'm out of touch, but I think kids, most of them, are still into playing like consoles, aren't they?
Yeah.
Most of them, right? Well, in Japan nowadays, it's very few of the students I speak to. They're all playing smartphone games, or maybe 3DS or Vita. It's very rare. I mean, in a class, there might be like 1 or 2 or 3 kids who have a PS4 or their dad's got a PS4, but it's not at all like it was when I was a kid in the UK. Anyway, when almost everyone had a console or gaming PC or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nothing like I expected it to be honest. No.
Okay, well, now we've deconstructed Japanese culture for our listeners. Let's move on to our first topic of discussion, and that is that there's a new game for the Dreamcast that you can play right now for free. Don't get too excited. It's not like some big, like humongously over-the-top 3D game, although there is one coming. We'll talk about that in a minute. This one is called Hanky Alien DC. Ross, talk to me about Hanky Alien DC.
What can I say? I haven't played it yet, to be honest. It looks like a Space Invaders clone for Dreamcast. Am I right?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, you got it in one. That's weird.
Well, I did see it on the blog the other day.
Yeah, basically, Hanky Alien DC is the work of a lone coder called Anthony 512 or Anthony 512. I hope I got that right. He is a member of the DC emulation forums, and he's been working on this homebrew Space Invaders game for quite some time, I believe. Looking at his website and on the thread on DC emulation, and I think it was really just a kind of a mess about project for himself more than anything. But he's kind of finished it now. It's like 95% complete. I think he still needs to put sound in it or something. But if you go to his website, which is simianzombie.com, he's released it for free as a download that you can play it on the Dreamcast SD card reader, or you can burn it onto a disc. He is actually quite even though he's managed to create a game from scratch, he does say that it's been a while since I burned a disc for my Dreamcast, so I'm not actually sure how to do it anymore. So he's a man after my own heart, to be honest, because I'm pretty shit when it comes to like burning discs and that kind of thing. Again, it's mainly because I use Macs, as I keep saying on these podcasts, and Macs are not very friendly when it comes to burning Dreamcast bootable discs. But yeah, Ant512 or Ant512 has created this game, Hanky Alien DC, and yeah, if you download it and put it onto your what's it called? SD card.
GDMU? Or, no.
I think you can
GDMU or...
Yeah, you can run
what's
it
the
on
other one? What's the other one called? No. There's GDMU is the one I've got, and then there's one other, USBMU or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a link just there. You can click on it, download it as a ROM, and just play a bit of Space Invaders on your Dreamcast. It's very accurate.
Check that out.
Yeah. So
I was actually quite surprised. We were talking a lot about indie games recently. I had a look. I was doing a quick search of other indie games, seeing if I'd missed anything, and there's actually quite a few that I didn't even realise existed. I don't know if you did or if our listeners have heard of it, but what's it called? Jumpin' Jazz. What's it called? Jazz Rabbit or something. Do you know the game I'm talking about? It was a PC game.
Yeah, I do.
Someone ported that to a Dreamcast about 6 years ago or whatever, and it went completely under the radar, but it's there to download. Were you aware of that?
Now you mention it, I was aware of it. Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
There are so many games.
Yeah.
That kind of
and there's also... We were talking about how Xenocide will probably be the first 3D indie release. Well, there's already been one. Aaron actually wrote about it. I did a search on the DC Junkyard blog, and Aaron wrote about it. It's like I've forgotten the name again, but it's like a Marble Madness or Monkey Ball style clone game.
Is it Neverball?
Neverball, yeah, that's it. I've never heard or played that one either. Yeah,
there's a guy on the Facebook group called Martin K, who does all the. He's a guy who supplied us with the the Propeller Arena repros to give away in that competition recently. He does, he creates discs and puts his own art on them, and then creates like DVD box style cases, and then just like he sends me random stuff in the post all the time. And he sent me a copy of that Neverball. It's actually quite good. It is basically Monkey Ball without the monkeys. It's quite cool.
I thought it did look good. And then there was also Gianna Sisters too. I think.
Great Gianna Sisters. Yeah.
So there's a lot out there that I didn't. Well, I think maybe it's just me, but I think a lot of people it flew under our radar and we didn't even realise it. So and it's all free, so check it out.
Yeah, there's again talking about Martin. He sent me a load of stuff a couple of months back, just CDRs of random games, and there was a couple. There's one called I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's called Squirix or something. And he basically this like rabbit thing that runs along, and it's like stupidly difficult 2D side-scrolling platform game where everything you touch just kills you. But it's really nice. I think it looks like it might be like an old Amiga game or something, but remade for the Dreamcast. There's another thing called Copper Swapper, which is like a match the pairs game.
No, I've not heard of that.
There's loads, mate. There's so many things that we just never. There's too much to actually document it all. Because if the Dreamcast Junkyard was like either of our full-time jobs, I'm sure we could, but it's not. So we can't. So we have to just give things fleeting mentions when we remember them.
And Volga the Viking, I've been playing that. I've got to the 4th world. Review incoming, but it's just taking a while for me to actually complete it because it's so bloody hard.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I think Aaron mentioned it on the last podcast, but there's actually no like real reviews of the Dreamcast version. It's all kind of like this game's coming to the Dreamcast, yay! And then everyone's just kind of right, it's here now, bye. So.
Well, I guess it's just read a review for any other format, and then imagine it in 480p lower resolution and maybe slightly slower, like slightly lower frame rate, and that's it basically.
So you don't need to do a review now then, do you?
Yeah, there's my review. I've done it. Read someone else's review, then take into consideration it's in 480p and the frame rate's not quite as high. There you go. Done.
Yeah. Speaking of like indie and homebrew, there is another game which is coming soon, which we've both played. And it's very impressive. Well, I thought it was very impressive. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. This game is called In the Line of Fire, and it comes from a 3-man team comprising of a guy called Wilson, another guy called Phenom, and a guy called Richard. And they have created what is essentially the Dreamcast's first indie first-person shoot-'em-up. And the demo that we've played features the first level, or what I perceive to be the first level, where you are in a bank and must prevent a heist from taking place. I am quite excited about this as a prospect, for what the rest of the game is going to look like and play like. As I say, we've both played it. The game was actually announced probably about 5 or 6 months ago, because I remember we had a story about it on the Junkyard when it was just the image of the clown's faces. Remember that, when it was just the the character
Yeah,
models.
I remember. Yeah. I remember seeing that and thinking, meh. That's just another project that will never get started. Nothing will happen with that. But here we are a few months later, and they've made some really impressive progress, to be fair.
Yeah. I need to give a massive shout out to Stephen Robinson from Dreamcast Hub, because as I keep mentioning, I'm sorry about this. I'm boring myself saying this, but because I use Apple Macs, I can't use emulators because they don't work because they're shit. But what Stephen did was he packaged up the ROM of In the Line of Fire with an emulator and sent it to me via Google Docs or whatever it was, or Dropbox, and I used it on my girlfriend's laptop, and it ran surprisingly well, so thanks to Stephen for that. But yeah, I was actually really impressed with the game running in a Dreamcast emulator. I believe that you can get it running on an actual Dreamcast as well if you've got the nous to do that and burn a bootable disc. There is a YouTube video of the guys running it on a Dreamcast, so it does work. But as I say, myself, and you ran it as well on the emulator, didn't you, Ross?
I did. I didn't bother burning a disc. Yeah, I just.
Did you,
well, actually, you sent me what Stephen sent you, so I got like the sloppy thirds on that
one. Sloppy thirds, yeah. Did you play using a keyboard and mouse, or did you use the controller?
I used a 360 controller.
Did you? Right, cool. Yeah, because I used I set up the keyboard to like the controls, so it was I couldn't really control it amazingly well, but I like the way that it's a first-person shooter, but you also get that kind of, it switches to a third-person view, and you can like tag enemies and then
that was cool.
Execute them, with a button press. That was really cool.
Yeah. You like peek. What is? Oh no! It goes in. I think it's going to be almost like in Watch Dogs, where you can hack security cameras. I think now it's just a demonstration of what it's going to be. I think in the proper game, you're going to be able to like choose maybe a camera, and then from that camera you can move your cursor over to various enemies, and then you press a button, and your character will come out and automatically take them down quickly.
Yeah, like
which is quite cool to see something like that's a feature, like the kind of features we've seen in modern games, and then put it onto a Dreamcast indie game. I thought that was quite cool.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's almost like not anachronistic, but it's kind of taking like the old games. It's taking the old system and adding new game like development techniques to it. Like new features. Because imagine like when Stormwind came out, and then you're playing it, and you get like it's almost like you've got like trophies or achievements.
Volga the Viking also has achievements. Yeah.
So
it's nice to see, isn't it?
That's cool because they've applied a modern twist to an old system. You don't, because when you play Dreamcast games, you don't even take into consideration things like achievements or trophies or anything. So that was a nice thing to see. And for those people listening to us waffle and have not seen the game, if you just go to the Dreamcast Junkyard or to Dreamcast Hub, because Stephen again he did an article on the game as well, and also Sega Nerds have sort of reblogged our article. But yeah, if you just go and type in the Line of Fire, you'll see just how impressive this game looks. It almost has a look of, I think it's actually better looking than Soldier of Fortune. Would you agree?
I'm to be honest, it's been a long time since I played Soldier of Fortune. My memory of it, which is probably not as good as how it looks now, would say no. But maybe I just haven't played it in such a long time that I can't remember. But it definitely looked very good, especially for a Dreamcast. Not even for an indie game, just for a Dreamcast game. It looked very good. I think it's important to mention that it is at the very, very early stages still of development. I mean, they've spent a lot of time on the engine, and you can see they've made some great progress, but the demo is maybe 10 minutes, and it's very rough, very incomplete. There's no... there's next to zero enemy AI yet.
They just kind of run towards you.
It's by no means, they just run towards you and start hitting you, and that's it. That's all they do. So, yes, I think it's really promising, and it's a great achievement that they've done so much in this time. But I think it's a bit too early for anyone to be saying, "Oh, this game's amazing. It's definitely going to be great." I mean, I hope it will be, and I'm sure the team are capable of doing it. But it's not there yet that I can say that. All I can say is they've made what looks like a really good foundation, and we'll see how it develops from here.
Did you see the when you kind of go and you can like look out the windows into the street below?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Did you see the one of the notice boards on the other side of the road is the barber? You know, the
Barber, yeah.
I thought it was a really nice touch. So yeah, we've actually got the barber into a game, so that was quite cool. And yeah, hopefully that will be. I think it's going to be a Kickstarter. It'll be hitting Kickstarter sometime in the near future, and yeah, hopefully it'll get a bit more traction than something like Xenocide did, because I think it really deserves to be funded.
Are they planning on making the tools and engine available for the community to use? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it would be that'd be good, because obviously the guys from Elysian Shadows are going to be doing that. Can you imagine the amount of power that would give to indie developers on the Dreamcast? You've got this amazing 3D engine. You've got the Elysian Shadows engine. Like this, how many more tools do you want to create like great games? Really?
Yeah, because I mean, something like that. If they announced, I mean, you know what I'm like with Kickstarters, especially recently. I'm very cautious, and I don't really want to give money until the game's finished. But if they announce something like that and said, okay, we're gonna give all these tools and by, you know, I don't feel like we're entitled to it. They made it. It's up to them what they do with it. But I'm just saying, if they did that as part of the Kickstarter, that would definitely help persuade me to back it. Because at that point, even if they make a terrible game, at least you know, hey, the engine and the tools are going to be available for the community to continue with in the future. So
yeah, like an extra kind of incentive to
yeah.
Make it. Yeah. Cool. I actually backed something on Kickstarter the other day. It's got nothing to do with games, but it's very loosely based on games. Have you heard of Mr. Biffo? The guy who Digitizer? Yeah, I backed his. He's doing it's like it's a series, a web series based on like the oddities of VHS and VHS collecting. It just looks really bizarre. So I do like his stuff like on Digitizer. So I backed that at the £10.
He's hilarious. He's very unique in the way he writes, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really good. I actually tried to get him before he restarted Digitizer 2000 online. I was chatting to him quite a lot on Facebook, and I asked him if he'd do a guest article for the Junkyard, to which he agreed. And I'm still waiting to get anything from him, so I might have to give him a nudge and say, "Oi, Biffo, where's the article you said you were going to do ages ago?" Actually, now saying that, he's actually now just started doing a column for Retro Gamer every month, so he's probably going to want paying for it now, and unfortunately I don't have the funds, unless more people want to back us on Patreon, and then I can give him the money from you to write an article for us. Don't know, just trying to sell it to you. You know, is that a hard sell? I don't know. Right, cool. So yeah, In the Line of Fire should be coming soon. Keep an eye out for that.
Keep an eye on that, definitely.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to quickly just mention is that we are updating the Dreamcast Junkyard Top 200 Games list. If you go on the website now or on the blog, in the little ribbon just underneath the main header, you'll see Top 200. If you click on that, it'll take you to the page that Aaron, the Gangerman Foster, created a couple of years ago now, where he got votes from you, the great Dreamcast game buying public, to find out what our favourite Dreamcast games were. He took actually ages to do that. He put so much effort into it, and I can't thank him enough for doing that. And the amount of work he did, shouldn't be underestimated. However, Mike has taken it upon himself. Mike, the master of lists, the author of the banned, the outlawed Dreamcast Junkyard Collector's Guide, has taken it upon himself to collate a new 2016 list of greatest games, which will, take into consideration all of the new games released thus far in the last couple of years since the last list was compiled.
Top 200, yeah? Again,
top 200, yeah. And we're also including like indie games and homebrew games, anything you want. I've had a look at some of the forms that have been submitted, and there's some interesting stuff in there. Like somebody actually voted for the Exploder cheats disc, the one that lets you play bot games. So anything goes. Put it in if you want it. If it's something that runs on the Dreamcast, chuck it in. There's no limit.
Yeah, like a few questions we've had. Someone asked if they could choose the NES emulator, and of course, NES emulator or even a Bleem CD or something. Yeah, that's anything goes. And then also, this is a question I asked, but I'm sure other people are wondering about it. I asked Mike, would, for example, Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, votes for those two games, would they be separated, and would they be combined, and just Shenmue as a whole entity would be represented on the list? Mike said he wasn't sure, but I get the impression that stuff like Virtua Tennis 1 and 2, Shenmue 1 and 2, those types of sequels where it's just an update. The NFL 2K series, NHL 2K series. I get the feeling that they will be condensed into one.
Yeah, in the other list, in the same list, in the list that's on the site now, what Aaron did was he actually just combined them. So Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Shenmue 1 and 2. I think so. Anyway, I could just have a look, but yeah. But yeah, get voting. We've had hundreds and hundreds of votes already, and also as an extra added incentive, one person will win the trademarked Mountain of Crap, which we are currently compiling. All of us from the Junkyard have just been sort of saying, right.
Yeah, I've got some random shite. I'll chuck in. Definitely.
Yeah. I've got loads of random shite here. People can have, So yeah, get voting because one person will be getting a box in the post full of shit, not literal shit, Dreamcast related shit. But yeah, that's something to look forward to, and as I say, an added incentive. One other thing I forgot to mention, Ross, a game I've been playing on the PS4. Sorry, it's just sprung back into my mind for some reason. WRC 6.
Yeah, I saw you posting about that.
Yeah. So you saw me stinking up your timeline on Facebook with my video.
You did, yeah. I'm not, rally games? Oh, no thanks.
I bought an Elgato game capture the other day, just so I could record like HD footage from the PS4 and the Retron, and I plugged my my Dreamcast into it to see if it'd work, and it does. So
how did you plug your Dreamcast into it? Has it got a VGA port?
It's got like an AV in port, and you get this like extra cable, which is it's meant to be for the component, but it also doubles up as a composite. So if you plug the yellow one into the red socket, it lets video pass through into it. So that's quite cool. It's really good for taking screenshots as well. I found it takes really really high res screenshots. So that's quite cool. Because the thing I was using before was like a little USB dongle, which was just crap. It was just really interlaced video, and that's why most of the screenshots in the Junkyard looked terrible, because they were being used. I was using this like USB thing that I plugged into the back of the computer. But
the ones I use always look good because I just steal them off Google Images.
Yeah. Well, I do try to add some of our own original content every now and then, but generally just fall back on Google. But I didn't say that, right?
And how is the game anyway? You didn't.
It was brilliant, yeah. I put a video up on my YouTube channel, my first impressions. Watch it, Ross.
I will do, yeah.
But yeah, it's really good.
And actually, I've been playing one other game a hell of a lot. I've played this game more than any other game since I was at university. My 7 years in Japan, I've not played a game this much. Something called Rust on PC.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I've been completely addicted to it. Like any second I'm not working, I'm in front of my computer playing Rust. It's like a survival. It's a survival game where you have to find wood and stones and different metal ores, and then you can process those and make buildings out of them. And then there's other people on the map, all multiplayer, who want to craft C4 and explosives, and they want to try and destroy parts of your base to get in and steal your stuff, and you want to do the same to them. It's it's a really good game.
Sounds a bit shit, that, to be honest.
So far, in the last week, I've played it 55 hours.
Wow.
Maybe just over a week, but yeah, 55 hours. It's crazy. It's really good.
One other thing that I forgot to mention as well, a guy called James Dunn, he brought me a copy of Hellgate, the unreleased game from the Dreamcast, that bike game. He bought it to me at Play Expo, and because we are planning a dedicated episode of the Dream Pod, just focusing solely on unreleased games, I thought that it might be worth mentioning that, because it was a promising looking game, and I'm yet to give it a proper playthrough, but I believe Aaron did a look at it on the Dreamcast Junkyard probably a few years ago now. But I'll be getting stuck into that.
So when did that get released?
It didn't get released.
No. I mean, when did the incomplete version get?
Oh, it would have been about 2013, maybe now. But it was leaked, and then everyone was like, lost the shit, and then everyone kind of forgot about it. So it is available, but I've never really looked much into it. I believe PC Wizard did a video on it as well. In his series, the games that. Oh, what is it? Shit. Sorry, PC, if you're listening to this. The Games That Never Were. His YouTube series that I keep posting about on the Junkyard.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah,
watch those, yeah.
Really good. And Anyway, Ross, I think we've waffled for long enough now. I'm hoping that this is going to record, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be very pissed off. I might throw my iMac through the window.
Well, it's okay. We've had a nice conversation.
We have indeed, and hopefully the girls and boys listening have enjoyed listening to us waffle. Listen to this, Ross. Listen, can you hear this? You hear that?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
right, is because I'm a bit of a wanker. I bought an aluminium mouse mat to go with my aluminium keyboard, and whenever I move my mouse around, it sounds like I'm dragging girders across the floor. And so if you could hear that throughout the podcast, that's what it was.
I didn't hear it, but
I'm a proper Apple wanker, me now, aren't I?
that sounds like a appropriate thing to buy.
What a pretentious wanker.
Hope you're happy with yourself.
I'm not. I feel really dirty. I need to go and get a really shit Pentium 2 PC just to bring myself back down to reality. Right.
Well,
anyway.
that'd be a more advanced gaming system than your current Mac.
Right, that'll do for this episode of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. Thank you very much for listening. You can find us on Twitter at the DC Junkyard. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com, the Dreamcast Junkyard, and groups, the Dreamcast Junkyard, and also on the internet at large at www.thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. Ross can be found on the Facebook group, again being offensive to people. I can be found on Twitter at TomLeeC. And thank you once again to all of our people on Patreon who support the podcast and keep it free of advertising and things. It really helps. So if you want to, pledge to Patreon, even if it's just $1, even if it's only for 1 month, it all helps us to pay the server costs for the podcast. And we appreciate it massively. Is there anything else you wanted to add at the end, Ross?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay then. It's nice and sunny here, so I'm going to go outside for a bit. So let's do one. And thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
See you later, guys.
Please stop this disc now.